This dancing dandy here is Mr. Harrison Roach, one of the darlings of the postmodern ride-anything movement. Isn't he a vision in that little bucket hat? Cross-stepping so precisely, so daintily on that heavy Thomas Beckson single fin? For the last 10 years, Harry and a handful of other quote-unquote open-minded free surfers have managed to scrape livings as aspirational, relatable journeyman athletes. For Harry and surfers like him, their marketability has come not in spite of, but because of their abstinence from anything like mainstream high-performance equipment, i.e. the modern thruster. Many of you watching this right now have long held the belief that the heavily glassed, elegantly tinted alternative equipment that these quote-unquote hipster kooks ride conceals fundamental flaws in their surfing. Put these guys on a real surfboard, you say, then we'll see how pretty they look. For this project, we wanted Harry on a few of 2020's most pervasive high-performance models, built by three shapers that occupy the current vanguard of high-performance surfboard design.
So exciting getting new boards, holy shit. Feeling really spoilt right now.
Two-time stab-in-the-dark winner John Pizell, and the Shadow, the board you'd see under the feet of team riders John Florence and Jack Freestone as their go-to daily driver and competition boards.
The Pizell. This is the one that's going to make me surf like John John. I doubt that very much, but I think that's why you buy them, isn't it? I think you got the rails the same. Not feeling like an ASIM.
Current or former shaper to Andy and Bruce Irons, Julian Wilson, Mikey Wright, and dozens of the best surfers in the world over the years. Jason Stevenson and the new Raging Bull model. Aki's new future primitive roundtail.
Well, this one's a little more old school. The JS, the Raging Bull. That's got to be Aki. Definitely just less hi-fi than that one that I first picked up. Can't read the leaderage. Not that I really know what leaderage does.
Winner of Stab in the Dark 2019 All-Stars Edition, Matt Biolis, and the board that the film inspired, the Driver 2.0, the board Mick Fanning claimed was the best mayhem he'd ever ridden.
Never ridden a Matt Biolis board. Really excited to try this one, actually. Need to find some backwash and surf like Mason Ho. This one feels like more of a small wave board. Not sure about the correct process for putting on a tail pad. This is a risky moment. One that I'll admit I'm not quite used to. Look at me, I'm fumbling all over the place. Am I putting the tail pad back far enough? Am I going too far back? What's going to happen with my leash? No leaderage. A modern fish. So this is my modern board. A little bit different to those guys. Let's call it a day. Let's go have a beer. Oh, no excuses now. I'd have to do a snap or something.
Alternative equipment doesn't require a hard sell when the waves are subpar. But for our purposes, putting Harry and these 3 hi-fi thoroughbreds through their paces, we needed proper waves. And we're greeted with a 3-day run of overhead rippable sandbar wedges. Conditions tailor-made for some good old-fashioned meat and potatoes thrusting.
Going with the new age tech sailing fins. Riding the Mayhem today. Had one little surf on it yesterday, felt good. Maybe a little bit too much volume for me, but I think I just need to give it a bit more time too. I don't know, I'm interested to see what it looked like because it felt really good. Never really looks as good as it feels though, does it? But felt like I could do finners. It didn't mean I could land finners, but it felt like I could, you know, have an opportunity to do it. Don't think there was anything I didn't like about it at all. Just a really fun board. I suppose if you're trying to rip, this would be a good start. Oh, I'm never gonna get off these things. I'll jump on a fish again and just fucking hate it, I reckon. They kind of just go wherever you want them to go. Pretty typical, but a round tail just made me feel like I was doing more like rail surfing. I'm pretty light footed though, so I just would have liked if it was a little bit more narrow and a little bit easier to put on rail, but I think somebody with like thicker thighs than me would have been ripping on it. I think if anything it just felt a little bit like bland. Like I was kind of expecting to get like a really high performance board, but this one felt like a bit of a cruiser, you know, like good for these waves, but kind of would like it a little bit more tuned up to really try and rip out there. But
carrying around a mixed bag of equipment, alt-left evangelists like Harrison carry a burden wherever they go. See, each of their open-minded pieces of equipment often requires its own specific, often proprietary fins. Keels, quads, twins, trailers, side bites, bonzers.
the life of a longboarder.
Traveling with standard shortboards, however, with very few exceptions, requires only 2 sets of fins, tops. For our purposes, Harry would need only a trusty set of Mick Fanning's signature thrusters, some of FCS's most versatile and popular fins, as well as their new space-age and award-winning carbon composite H4s, just for kicks.
Been claimed to help with release out of the lip. Don't know if I get release. I like the look of this thing, it's more of a keel. Looking back to move forward, old FCS, hey? It's supposed to be easy. Anybody...
While the concept of one set of fins to rule them all is a minimalist dream, this is not to say that modern fin systems aren't without their own minor tragedies.
That hurts. Every single time, that hurts. Oh, I'm getting better by the... Yeah. There's already blood on this one. It's a tough game, this pro surfing life. Every time. John. A little bit narrower than the JS and the Mayhem. A little bit thinner. See if I can do a reverse, like a 13-year-old would be stoked with. That's what I'm going for. Fuck, I should have claimed that wave. It was a big moment for me to actually go out and in 3 days pull it off. That's pretty nice. Flicking around, you could see Mitch Cruz there claiming it for me. You could tell how big of a moment it was. I don't even think either that like a 13-year-old would be that stoked with that air. Definitely went better in like the really punchy little tight beach breaks. I felt like you could probably just square up a little bit quicker, but in saying that, it needed like that little extra bit of power off the bottom too. Where the Parzel went really good on the beaches, I rode it on a point and just didn't carry speed as well down the line, but I got on the JS and that really just flowed through everything and just surfed really nicely. Normally I'm looking at like, okay, it's a twin fin, does this. Okay, it's a single fin, doesn't do that, does something else. Okay, it's a longboard, try and fucking nose ride. Here I'm like, it was quite interesting seeing a bit of a comparison with, you know, three relatively similar boards, how minute differences actually make quite a big difference when you're on a wave, and certainly in particular conditions. Like, you know, this one was a standout when it was small and punchy and tight maneuvering. This one just worked everywhere. It was fun as, I don't know, it's just in that board works realm. And then this one, just because of my expectations about this being like a high performance project, I felt a little like let down originally about the feel of this board, but it ended up probably going the best out of all of them. So, well done to JS for knowing me better than I know myself. I probably did like the best, you know, rail surfing I've done on a board for a long time. So, and then when the waves started pumping, this one worked just as good as any of them. When it was fully pumping, it was fucking fantastic.
After a week-long dose of unfiltered high-performance foam and fiberglass, had Harry come around to the whole hi-fi trip? Would he shed his layers of volan cloth in favor of something light and lively? Or would he go running back to his resin tints with his beaver tail between his legs?
Everybody seems to think that the best surfing you'll ever do is on the most like high-tech, new age equipment. But I don't know if that's true. Like a thruster really just has this level of reliability that they don't do weird things when you take off on them. And that's fucking awesome when you're in like a crazy situation where it's high risk or you need to have like full confidence in your surfboard. That's definitely these guys. But you don't always need that, you don't always need full confidence in your fucking bottom turn. Sometimes you want to be like, whoa, get a weird squirt, a weird release somewhere, and like that makes it interesting. This is just all really like clear what's happening here. You're trying to rip. Good luck to you.